the July 14th Conservation Commission meeting. This is Town of Walpole, request for determination of applicability, land disturbance permit, Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of RDZ Associates to subdivide a lot, construct single-family homes at 24/38 Peach Street, portion of which are proposed within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and requires a land disturbance permit. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall or via virtually accessible video on April 14th, 2021, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested persons are requested to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. Do we have a letter or something?
We have an email, and we also have the Dan American here from Legacy Engineering requesting a continuance to.
Yeah, we're still working on revisions, so we'd like to request continuance. Do you have a meeting on August 18th?
August 11th.
Yeah, if we can do that.
You going to be ready then?
Yeah, we expect to submit revised plans next week.
Okay, so someone make that a motion to continue this till August 11th at 7?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained.
Thank you.
600. Peach Street. Okay,
So we have a few minutes
And-
before the next hearing.
so we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 1776 Washington Street.
Yes, so I went out and did a site visit today, and reviewed the as-built plan, and I'm satisfied with it. The wetlands area was just a, excuse me, intermittent stream that went to a culvert to the, if you're facing the property, to the right side, so that's, everything's done, completed, fine.
Okay, so someone want to move that?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600. Good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you in on Friday?
Yeah,
Okay, all
I'll
right.
have Ilex with me, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think the new purchaser, I think, wanted to come and pick it up on
Oh,
Friday if
fine,
it was
yeah,
ready.
that's fine, it's already prepared.
Okay,
Which one was that, Easter or Washington?
Washington, 1776. Oh, yeah, so they need to
So they
sign
need
it.
to
You
sign
guys
it.
need to sign.
Back to signatures.
Do what now?
Do what?
We have
Do
to
what?
sign.
Do what?
Do you remember how to sign your name?
Oh, my goodness.
Vaguely.
So do you have two copies?
Oh, I only did one.
This is this is the Conservation Commission checkbook that's coming through.
On Zoom replace.
Yeah, right? Auto sign.
Okay, you'll see on here you have to print your name as well as sign. So, the new form. Jeez.
So why do we have to print our name if
I
it's,
already did it for you.
yeah, we don't have to print our name,
It's
right?
already
It's been
printed.
printed, yeah,
I did it for you, because
which is
then,
something new.
super neat.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's very good.
Thank you.
It's gonna make it a little easier.
Oh, thank you.
Spelled my name wrong, but that's okay.
No, did I?
Yeah. It's EMIDI. A lot of I's in my name. That's all right.
It's always your name,
I know.
always.
It's a tough one.
Should have asked, everybody knows Allery, even though she's wearing a mask? Do everybody know?
Ellery.
Virtually, yeah.
Yes,
Virtually.
not virtually.
Okay.
Yep.
We got, so what else we got? We got minutes from June 23rd. On the minutes, you may have actually corrected this. I mean, somebody caught it before. For the minutes of June 23rd, on page 2, under enforcement orders,
Yep.
we have 1900 Main Street. This is ongoing, and then the next line is the applicant provided restoration plan, the
Yep.
begun installation. Is that Palmer Lane? It should be some project. I'm thinking maybe Palmer Lane.
Probably Palmer.
Okay, just to,
I think I inverted those.
yeah,
So
because,
There's nothing new on Main Street, right?
no, there's
Right.
nothing new on Main Street. That, I didn't want it to imply that Main Street was doing what they're supposed to.
Right, I swapped those.
Okay, so there's Palmer Lane.
That house is for sale now.
Yes, it is.
The,
4, yeah,
What's that?
4 Palmer Lane, yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah,
1.9.
I think I saw that, yeah.
1.9 million.
Okay,
1.9, yeah. Doesn't surprise me.
1.9.
Does that affect the restoration? I mean, the whole,
Do you have anything in the?
They'll, it's the other guy, it's Michael Braid at Third, who's really been mostly involved in it anyways, so he must have known
it's
it.
not that lot, though?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually mostly, most of it is not on their property, it's on the Ponce Land Holdings property, and that's why. It's the actual,
But the enforcement order is for them.
Yes,
And I assume the
yes.
real estate broker would be obligated to tell the new buyer there's a
I did talk,
enforcement order.
right, they did call me and I did talk to them and I did let them know and they seem to already know that, so,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. All right, so someone want to move the minutes for June 23rd?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
600. Okay. And what else? Do we have another, certification?
You have an extension for Lost Brook
Oh, okay.
Trail,
Extension.
Lot 2, Lost Brook Trail. Again, I'm recommending 18 months, which is actually approximately what the state is saying. We have to give them anyways 400 and something days, which comes out to about 18 months, so yeah,
Okay.
we're ahead of ourselves.
All right, someone want to move that to extend that for 18 months?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
600.
The request for 1034 East Street, Liberty Station, that's on the corner of East and Elm. I want to talk to them first because I haven't had a chance to have a site walk with them, and the little piece of land right at the corner of Elm and East, which they used as a staging area, which when we were looking at the project, we wanted them to take up the pavement and do some plantings along the river and clean it up. And they didn't do anything, so. It was supposed to be there was supposed to have also been a right-hand turn there as an improvement, and they didn't do that either, so we need to talk to them.
Okay, so
So that's on
So
hold.
we won't do anything on that, okay? All right, we got, we'll hold off on that. On Main Street, nothing is new on that. We need to see what's going on there.
Other than there seems to be a lot of cars back
That's
there.
a lot of activity, or at least, yeah. Every time I go by, there's,
Can you remind us
Stuff
what board it's sort of hung up with, or like, we were sort of backing off until, what?
property was
This is Liberty.
up for auction.
No, they jumped over to 1900 Main Street, which is on our enforcement list. Main Street, 1900, which has been there forever.
It was, property was up for auction, right?
It was, that's what I thought, it was for auction. Yes, I haven't heard if it was sold to anybody else or what the issue with. I also thought that that the select board hadn't renewed their permit to sell cars.
Right, so,
Fix cars or whatever they do back there, or they were selling cars and then they were fixing vehicles.
so can we make an inquiry to the select board about what they think is new with that?
Yeah, I think we
'Cause it
should,
just keeps going on and on ours, and
we should talk to town administrator, see what we should be doing relative to what else is going on there. So we'll do that.
So the site has been there for a long time with various configurations and a couple different owners, and we've been enforcing stuff since I've been on a agent, and been here almost 19 years, and I think it even goes back to the
It goes
80s.
before
Yeah,
that.
it goes before that.
they do things.
It's a back and forth,
Long story.
long story. Yeah, so I'd be happy to
Couple
inform
hours.
you.
But I was under the impression we had sort of backed off of it while
There's a
the
bunch of
select
stuff.
board,
And there was
We need-
another department also taking some more substantial action, I thought.
So, yeah, I think we need to talk to town administrator and see what we should be
Where they are at this
doing relative to what else is being pursued on that property.
right, because for example, weren't they gonna do something with their septic system?
I don't think that ever,
And it didn't
Yes.
happen?
I don't
I
think that's
don't
ever
believe
been
that it
done.
happened, no. I don't believe that the septic was put in properly, either. I'm not sure. It's probably either executive session more discussion, because I think there's legal ramifications to it, or, I will again reach out to town administrator. I do every now and then, so.
Yeah, I think we need just to see what we should be doing, if anything. Brookside Village. Under the enforcement orders, anything new on that?
So one of the last meetings, Michael Curatella, I think his name is, was on, and because they're also seeking a certificate of compliance, and we, told him that that almost everything was complete except that the rock wall, when the commission went out to take a look at it, and the notice of noncompliance that we had given them, that it needed to be, the big boulders where there was erosion coming through needed to be chinked. That's the word I know. It's, smaller pieces put in so that the sands weren't coming through the wall. And it was my understanding he got that message and that should be done, but he hasn't gotten back to me on it yet.
Okay, so it's still ongoing. See, are we waiting for them, or are we gonna go back and look?
I was waiting for them to tell us that they had completed the wall.
Okay, might wanna send them an email and see if they're ready for another site visit. Palmer Lane we discussed, so there's nothing new on that, right?
Right. They did the plantings, and it's just like, want to monitor it for a year and then see how the
Okay.
plantings
Got a
go.
good planting season.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's see, what else for next?
And nothing new on the SORAD, the appeal. I'm not sure when that's going to be. It may be sometime in August.
Okay. All right, 7:15, have we got the Starlight Drive?
So also that means this whole thing. It has its own.
I just need the folder
Yep,
that
so
would
it's
have
great.
the ad and.
Right in front. My seat keeps going down.
Oh, you got that chair?
Yeah, what the heck?
This thing is terrible.
It's usually one
Freaking.
around here. Somebody must have
Yeah, we
moved
must
it.
have moved
I don't
it
know
over
who
there.
did that. Who moved that chair down there?
I came here
Ugh.
early and
Thanks a lot.
Is that the sinking chair?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm short enough.
I think I've had that before.
I don't need my chair to sit.
It's moved around.
Negotiation thing.
Yeah, it goes down the line.
Okay, I guess here's
I think
the
my chair's
file.
all the
I
way
think
down,
that
so
this
Well,
is
yeah.
the letter from Carl Malva.
Oh, okay.
It's addressed to the planning board, so it's probably not all pertinent.
Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Those are given the intent of Shakwi El Al-Sarabi, Family Revocable Trust, to convert a driveway into a road for 4 single-family house lots and appurtenances, 32 Starlight Drive, Walpole. Plans are filed with the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held at Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, February 26, 2020, beginning at 7:05 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. We have a letter from town engineer. This is addressed to the planning board. It's dated July 7th, 2021.
So I don't think you have to read the
Read
whole.
all that
Yeah, just
stuff,
the first drainage
no
comments.
drainage
and
stuff
the
in
drainage
there.
comments.
No, it's all planning board stuff.
Yeah.
This is all planning board?
Yep.
A lot. There's another, what's this one? May 19th. This is also planning board. Okay. All right, so that letter is strictly for the planning board, so, and pertain to conservation. So representing the applicant,
Dan American with Legacy Engineering. All set?
Yep.
Okay, good evening. This is Al Sarabi Estates. We appeared before you first, immediately before lockdown. We've had a couple of Zoom meetings ever since then. It's been dragging on because the planning board didn't hold hearings many months during the lockdown, so we finally got things rolling again at the beginning of the year. So we have worked all of the issues out with town engineer. And I've been working with Landis. She asked for a number of changes. So let me just give you an overview of the project so you remember. This is 32 Starlight Drive, existing home here. They have an existing driveway here that's 18 feet wide that comes up through here, has a little cul-de-sac. What we're proposing to do...
excuse me, Dan, what sheet are you looking at?
I am looking at sheet C6,
6?
the grading sheet. Kind of give you everything in one shot. Big piece of land. We're looking to subdivide it from one house into 4, so the net of 3 new homes on the property. So there's a lot 1 here, lot 2 contains the existing home, lot 3 here, and lot 4 here. The proposal in front of the planning board is to basically take the existing driveway, improve it, and convert it into a private way, so it won't become a public street. So it has a 20-foot paved width, has no sidewalks, where basically we're gonna widen this stretch 2 feet, and then up in here, we're gonna remove what's here and then rebuild this cul-de-sac into this configuration. The existing house remains. Obviously, there's no stormwater management on the property now because it's just a single-family home. So we're adding stormwater management. We're adding a stormwater basin here to handle all of this road runoff. And then down at the bottom to handle the runoff that comes down to the mouth. There's 2 catch basins there presently, but they just discharge out in this direction. So we're going to intercept that flow, put it into a treatment system, and then into a stormwater basin, and then discharge it. And then there's 2 systems on lots that are basically intended to service those individual lots. This is an underground system. This is an open basin. So we've been over the wetland line. Everything's good there as far as I know. We have a note here at Landis's request, because we don't really know how this house is going to be configured yet, that we may change this basin in consultation with her and Carl, the town engineer, when we file a notice of intent for lot 3. We're showing it now because it's part of our overall drainage mitigation package. But that may end up moving, this way if this house ends up being down here further. The other thing that Landis asked for was that there are some rock outcrops here, and these are natural boulder deposits. She requested that the portions of those outcrops within 50 feet of the wetland not be disturbed, so that's been added to the plan.
This is the shading. That's the shading?
That's the shading, correct. Correct. And then we will have to, again, appear before you for Lot 3 and Lot 4 for any work in the buffer zone. So the configuration of those homes and driveways and all of that will be addressed later. We're basically just showing something on the plan for the purposes of the drainage design. But this is not what will be built. We'll be back before you for those 2 lots. And that's about it. Happy to answer any questions you might have about the plan, but it's not, we really didn't make any changes. The last round of revisions all revolved around this. So at the back of the existing property, there's an off-site wetland. This is on town land, Adams Farm. And there was some historic disturbance in here in the buffer zone. There's a barn building which is not in the buffer zone, but this area in here has been cleared and gravelled. So what we're proposing to do is we're proposing to regrade the area to a shallower slope, seed this whole area, plant shrubs along the slope, and then plant some deciduous trees up on top in that area. So that's a restoration, if you will. Only this part of it is in your buffer zone. The rest of it's, the planning board has a separate buffer zone across the back of the property, so that's more for them than it is for you. But we're restoring that whole disturbed area to a vegetating condition.
Okay. Landis?
And that you worked out with the interested parties with who'd been corresponding with us too, Chris Timpson and
So
Westwood Go.
Chris asked for signs, plants, and revegetation of the area. We've done all that. Chris also asked for some unreasonable legal things that we're not gonna do. But as far as what he asked for here on the
The
plan,
restoration.
we
plan.
did it. He actually wanted this to be mulch. I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, we don't
We don't
like
want
mulch.
that. We want it loamed and seeded, so
Mhm.
that's what we're proposing.
Most of my comments really pertain to recommendations for conditions, so like the restoration of the buffer zone, that happened first.
Yeah, we are gonna have a
But-
condition in the planning board decision that it happened prior to the issuance of the first building permit for the subdivision.
How about before the road construction?
Yeah, we could do
Because
that.
I'd rather see it right away.
Yeah, could do that, so that would be the work. Yeah, we can do that. So the restoration in the 100-foot wetland buffer zone before the commencement of road construction, that's fine.
Yeah. Then so the 50 foots, I just want to leave it open that we look at the rock outcrops in the buffer zone under the notice of intent. I think the 50 foot is a great start, but just depending on the configuration of the houses, how you can fit them in there, that the extent of the removal of the rock outcrop and the 100-foot buffer shall be determined during the review of the individual notice of intents for 3 and 4. Then I put a condition, basin 1 location will be further reviewed under the notice of intent for lot 3, which we had talked about. The culvert under the existing driveway shall be protected from damage during construction, and the Conservation Commission should be notified if damage, so
Sure.
assuming you're gonna
Okay.
make sure that's, then the infiltration basins, you don't plan to use them during construction for stormwater, do you, or, no, okay, so just would prefer that the areas that are infiltration basins not be used.
So there's not a lot of activity
Yep.
here. This is all existing paved driveway. We're gonna do some trenching to put some new utilities in.
Mhm.
We're gonna widen a little bit, but there's not
There
there's not
shouldn't
a
be a need.
wholesale excavation of this
Yeah,
area.
okay.
It's very kind of targeted.
You guys gonna mill and pave? Gonna mill?
They had the option to either overlay the existing driveway and reset the Cape Cod berms on either side, or to mill and overlay. So the plans give the applicant that either option.
Just for our, Landis will go through, and then we'll go through the commission for questions or comments. Anything else?
And just the as-built plan of the basin shall be provided to the commission and approved prior to opening them up for use. That, I mean, a DEP, condition is that they be as-built prior to post-construction discharge. But it seems that post-construction means different things to different people. I want the as-built prior to them accepting water, so that we know they've
And you're
been
talking
built.
about 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Maybe we should state that
okay.
in that condition.
Yeah.
Because 1 will be built with lot 3, and this will be built with lot
Okay,
1.
so, what did you say, 2 and 3?
2 and 3. Basin 2 and basin 3.
And then the only other thing, did I have it in here somewhere, is, so the replication areas that were created prior for the original
Right here.
driveway,
Yep.
they seem to be not really in good shape, right? So,
This one, yeah, this one was not fully to the extent of the original.
yeah. So I think they should be reviewed, and if they need additional plantings or
That's fine.
excavation, that they should be.
Want to add a condition that we have
Yeah.
our botanist review that area, recommend improvements?
That's what
and then
that would be.
You approve that?
Yeah,
Sure,
so those are
That's fine.
just
that's fine.
what are in my report. Those are the only comments I have.
Good. Anything else?
No.
Dean?
So the construction of the infiltration basins, more specifically, the small one up here, probably is 1.
3.
Are those gonna be constructed prior to all the lots, or is there gonna be?
Oh, yeah.
What's the phase of the construction? You guys gonna do the road, the infiltration basins, and sell the lots and wait?
So the way the subdivision control law works is you can't sell any lots until you basically build the road up to a passable condition. So yeah, so the road work gets done usually to binder. The stormwater basins are finished while that's all happening. And then the applicant posts a bond with the planning board for the cost of any remaining work, and only then can they pull a building permit or sell a lot. So these 2 basins are for the road, so these will be built with the road. This is for the house, that'll be built with that house, this is for this house, that'll be built with that house.
And that's
There are notes on the plan to that effect.
Okay. And that's a steep gradient, right, this road? It's pretty steep? Oh, okay.
8%.
Oh, okay. All right. No more questions?
Anything else? Okay. Doug?
Just one question. On Lot 1, there's a notation of the potential septic field location, but the arrow doesn't quite reach to where I think you're trying to show the field.
Oh, yeah, it's this box up here.
It is that, okay. I kind of thought that.
That's
but the-
something that is permitted through the Board of Health, so that's not a done deal. You
Yeah.
know, that's just, we did test bits.
Okay, and it could change.
It could change.
Yeah.
We have to do a whole design and present it to the Board of Health for approval.
Yeah.
So yes, that arrow.
But you've already done perk tests in the area?
We've done perk tests on all the lots.
That's it.
Yeah. Medio?
Dan, for the runoff for the driveway for Lot 1, where's that going? Is that going in that basin there, or?
Some of it's going in here, there's a catch basin here,
Yeah,
a treatment unit, and then the rest of it's going into this basin.
it is.
Through a treatment unit. So these are proprietary treatment units that discharge to the basin.
Thank you.
Betsy?
Yeah, so the the former replication areas that Landis referred to, 2 questions. One is, they're not exactly on this plan. Shouldn't they be on, they're not actually indicated as replication
There
areas.
seems to be some discrepancy with the original plans that I saw had a replication area up here, which Landis and I went and walked, and it did not appear that anything had been done in there. So I think what they did is they put all of it right here.
But it's
So
not labeled
this is-
exactly.
I did not label it, I might have labeled it on, hang on.
It seems like it should be.
Existing replication area. And we basically not around that, even though.
Oh, I see,
It's
yeah.
not presently.
Yeah.
This is the area right here
Yeah.
that Landis wants us to work with our botanists to figure out what to do to make it better.
Okay, so then I have a second question.
Replication area?
Because you think that one of the original ones didn't happen, that both of them ended up here. Is it wet enough to be a replication area? I mean, is it a little
So
bit
this-
more than a botanist thing?
This higher area here is probably not wet enough, so we may need to get in there
They may have to
and
excavate.
lower it.
Yeah.
So it's more than a botanist.
Well, the botanist needs to go there and look at it and do some soil
Botanist will
samples
make a
and
recommendation
make a
to us.
recommendation.
And work it out with Landis, exactly what to do.
All right, thank you.
We may need to take it down 3 or 6 inches or something.
That's okay.
Al?
Okay, my only concern at this time is the existing house exists, and it doesn't have a stormwater system because it was a single house on a big lot. Okay, now that it's a single house on a much smaller lot, and it looks like the other lots are taking up all the stormwater, I'm not sure that that's a very fair situation, that they don't have some kind of a stormwater system. It doesn't even mention that you're gonna put the roof drains into the ground or anything else.
So Basin 2's been designed to handle the stormwater runoff, the recharge requirements, the treatment requirements for the existing house. So that's all in this basin.
But that's gonna be maintained by the owner of this new house.
That is true. That's the way the planning board configures their maintenance requirements. They require that each individual lot owner maintain what's ever on their lot. So this house is kind of at the top of the hill. You know, you put your drainage systems at the bottom of the hill, which is, you know, where they fall here. That's just kind of the way it works out from a, we don't try to spread it around equitably. We basically do whatever works best for engineering standpoints. Gravity rules.
Yeah. Okay, but what about the stormwater from the house and the structures?
It all sheets across the lawn here, and then it's gonna go into this proprietary treatment unit.
But
And
why
then-
isn't it going into the ground?
It's going into the ground in this basin. This basin is an infiltration basin.
Now, we make it, almost all other houses have their roof drains recharge into the ground. Why aren't we requiring
Well,
that?
It's an existing home with patios all around it and stairs, and I mean, I don't know that you could do that without tearing the whole place up. And we've designed the drainage system to accommodate the runoff from this. So it's designed in accordance with the regulations to handle that runoff.
I would think that's an existing
Yeah, okay.
grandfathered in, because if that was if we were doing that then when this house was put in that subdivision, we would have had the roof drains
Yeah.
into the ground then, but I don't remember exactly when this,
1997.
and I don't think we were doing recharge roof drains at that point. So
Well, we
I
were
think-
doing it, but not requiring it.
Yeah.
Could I do a follow-up to what Al just said? Because I think it bothers Al and it bothers me, about who say it is about drainage basins. I mean, we have quite a lot of jurisdiction on how they function and all, but the business of having one person's drainage basin handling someone else's drainage on a completely different lot, it's gonna be a rhetorical question, don't worry. How come we don't have a say in that?
Well, you do, but, you know, look, there's two approaches, right? There's a homeowners association, which has its own problems, because if the association doesn't
Because you
do
can
anything.
never figure out who it is.
Yeah, you can never figure out who it is, who you're supposed to get in touch with. If they're not collecting money and doing their duties, it's harder to chase, whereas an individual lot owner is very simple for the town to go to that individual lot owner and say, here it is, it's in the O&M, it's on the record, it's referenced in your deed, you have to maintain this. If there's a problem with it, you go to that lot owner.
I wouldn't
So-
call it simple.
Well, it's a catch-22,
But
right?
you're-
The town's
you're
not
right,
gonna maintain these things, so it's going to be the lot owners, and it's one of those two scenarios, and Walpole
I
has
just wonder
historically
why,
chosen this scenario.
I just wonder why it isn't a third. I'm on an extremely historic lot that occasionally has some drainage issues. I wouldn't dream of thinking that my neighbors have got to deal with them. I mean, I've been told to put a French drain in, blah, blah, blah. But it's sort of like the idea that one person's, you don't have to answer it, Dan, it's okay. One person's drainage is going to be paid for and dealt with by another person, just.
Well, I mean, we all deal with other people's drainage, right? And
Okay.
my yard sheds into my neighbor's yard, and my other neighbor sheds into my yard. That's kind of the way it goes. Water goes downhill. So don't forget, the road, a lot of this is for the road, not for the individual homes. Most of it's for the road. And that's being shared by everybody, you know, so. I mean, I don't really care one way or another which way the maintenance is worked out. It's just that Walpole, the planning board has historically gone this way with it.
Okay?
Yep, fine.
Okay. Do you have plaques
Yeah.
shown on one of these drawings? You
I
got,
have plaques called out here.
you got
So I
some,
got
I
one,
noticed,
two, three
for that,
And then we have existing markers in here already.
are they there? Are they noted on the plan?
Yeah, existing no alter markers.
Oh, okay, I see
And then when we
that.
get to 3 and 4, we'll figure that out when we come before you for those lots.
Okay. All right, so there will be plaques, okay.
When we permit the individual lots.
All right, it brings up, you keep talking about 3 and 4 as separate filings. What about 1 and 2?
1, the house on 1 is not in a buffer zone, 2 exists. So the house and the
Oh,
driveway
that's right, okay.
on
Two.
1, this driveway is already there, actually. It just needs to be paved. So that'll be done with the initial construction effort, but the buffer zone, basically,
Okay,
from
so,
that point forward, this is all outside the buffer zone.
okay. Then those roof drains should be put into the ground, since there won't be a filing on that lot.
Well, Lot 1 has an underground system designed for it. So
Is
that's
that
all-
where the roof
that's all
drains are going?
Yep, yeah, that'll all go there.
Okay,
And then 2, we just talked about, it's going into this basin.
yeah,
3 and 4 will be in front of you for
okay.
separate orders.
Who maintains those treatment structures?
The homeowners.
Okay, where is that?
There's an
Big.
O&M plan that should probably be attached to your order of conditions.
Have we seen that?
The O&M for the subdivision,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so it's in there? The
I can't remember, but
maintenance, the maintenance.
is it in there?
Oh, yeah.
The maintenance of the,
those?
Yeah.
Okay,
Maintenance, the catch basins, the treatment units, the stormwater basins, all in there.
okay.
And that should be attached to someone's permit, and yours is a good place to put it.
Mhm. We usually do have it attached and recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should
Against those.
reference that in our order.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Okay.
reference in the order that that lots 1, the new lots, well, yeah, I guess there's only the 3 and 4, the ones that are coming before us, I don't have the plan in front of me. Well, right, so those will have infiltration units of some kind.
They will.
Okay. And our order now will include the maintenance, reference the maintenance agreement, the O&M manual. Okay.
Yeah, and we can reference this order of conditions in the individual lots,
Yeah.
just to tie them together.
Okay. Yeah, we should, those will require a filing.
Yeah.
Lots 3 and 4 will require a filing. Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record.
Nope.
Okay, so, someone make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Or you can-
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll do,
To make a decision tonight, I'm going to the planning board tomorrow night. I would like to report to them that you took a vote.
oh, you could come back in August.
It's you. You're the boss.
So what do we have? You have the order, you have these points that we just discussed?
Right, so I had the specials that are in my report, which I discussed, and then we have boilerplate conditions regarding usually maintenance of storm systems, and we can attach the O&M and,
And the filing for lots 3 and 4.
3 and 4, right?
Will you read the condition about the rock outcrops?
This one?
Which one is that?
Three.
All?
Number 3, is that the one?
The extent of the removal of rock outcrops in the 100-foot buffer zone shall be determined during the review of the individual notice of intent for 3 and 4. I know on the plan he has 50 foot, and that may be fine, but I just,
Basically, just put that as the minimum. requirement.
yeah.
That's the minimum
Yeah.
requirement. When we come before you, it may be more.
Is that
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we've got something good there to protect those rock outcrops.
Right.
Anybody have anything else? All right, so we make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
So,
600.
Dean, actually, you have to
I'll
abstain
abstain.
because you
All right.
weren't part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
previous public hearing.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
would. Great job.
Thank you.
5,
Thank you. Have a good night.
okay, thanks. It's a 501.
Okay.
God, this goes back pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's been hanging for a while,
Yeah,
for sure.
okay.
Is everything back in the file, or did you steal anything?
I didn't take anything out. Usually you take things from me. But I've been watching. Yeah. Well, that's when that subdivision was done, it was separate as an individual lot. Yeah.
Was that the guy who probably developed it, huh? Just kept things locked for himself?
I don't know if that was the owner or the developer, but it has all the rocks for one thing. I mean, it's a huge pile, yeah. And it just, I think at that point, it was just, wouldn't be too difficult or to subdivide that lot, so they just made it, yeah.
Presume I'm next, right?
What was that?
I'm presuming I'm next.
Let me see, I think you're on at 10.
Early compared to my other meeting.
Let's see,
Yeah, you're on 720.
you're on at 7:20,
You're
yes.
fine, you're good.
So we have anything to read in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, Al was on with that. Who
Yeah.
else? You on then, Betsy?
For what?
For this subdivision where this Al-Sarabi lot was part of it?
I was on for a lot of different ones around there, the Starlight and the
Yeah.
Old Town and,
You wanna know the truth, I had the option on that property in the 80s. That's how long I've been around.
You
Old Town
turned it,
Road.
you turned it down?
No, wasn't my fault. Banking issues.
Oh, because there's that other road that comes in there, I have to look and see what they are, but there was,
Beach property and then, the woodworking guy owned the rest of the
It's
property.
Old Town, I think it was the Old Town Starlight, and then,
Right.
begins with a C.
I'm trying to remember who they started with that.
I think it was
Yeah,
Pine
Tasha
something,
built part of that back.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
Old
it-
Town started it, and then we had
Old Town started it.
Starlight and Crossroads, and,
That
yeah.
that was part of it.
Crosswood Path or
That was
something.
part of the
Crossroads.
initial, which was the Empire.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, we learned a big lesson during that period of time.
Here's your-
Yeah, that,
You have to read the ad and
yeah, I
open
think
the
that,
hearing.
This is just for some future editorial.
one of those,
Thank you.
during one of those times, there was some exchanges in property because things went downhill.
Sorry, I don't have another one.
That's all right, I'm good.
Sure.
Yep, I'll live.
Okay.
There's type standards here.
Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given the intent of Wall Street Development to turn of land located at map 19, lot 183 Pinnacle Drive is land formerly associated with historic mill complex and therefore not subject to regulations as work in the riverfront area. Plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall or by a virtually accessible video on November 4th, 2020, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Contact Bill Hersey at walpolelands.gov. Go for Zoom information on the person. Request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. So, representing the applicant,
Yes, thank you for everyone for coming back, healthy. Lou Petrosi here for Wall Street Development Corp. This is a request for determination, as you read, regarding the property on Pinnacle Drive, along Pinnacle Drive, that borders the Bird Pond. And as we all know, in Walpole, this was the site of, part of the site of the Bird Mill Complex, dating back to the early 1800s. The regulations allow for an exemption under the riverfront regulations. The mill complexes that were in existence prior to 1946 and after 1946. We presented, I think, from what I learned from the prior meetings, that I wasn't in attendance, but the commission was looking for to establish an area where the mill complex related to this portion of the property existed. So we've had an evaluation, a walkover of the site by Ecotech, and we've surveyed the locations of existing foundations and pavement and concrete and asphalt existing still today. And we also have evaluated the area that's adjacent along the rear of the homes on Pinnacle Drive that are also show evidence of buildings and structures being in that area. So what you see in the white is the small portion of the site that is, it doesn't seem to be any evidence of a building or structure in that portion of the site, except for this beach front, which exists as a concrete structure where the Bird employees were treated for recreational purposes, for swimming in the pond and other things like that. The Bird was very ahead of the time, so to speak, with regard to employees and recreation, and they had ball fields, as you know, and the Bird Park. And so this shows a little bit of a compilation of what the site existing today looks like. I mean, it's overgrown with a lot of vegetation, but underneath that vegetation is concrete, asphalt, foundations, and along the backs of this property, they're all concrete piers and concrete foundations that have been either pushed over or were in existence at the time, or part of the foundation. Now, what I've given you tonight is a photograph, an aerial photograph of an overlay. The yellow represents the existing lot lines of the properties that are shown on this plan. And the approximate of the location of where the buildings were when this photograph was taken. I'm not quite sure of the year of this. This, I think, could be a 1978 photograph. And as you can see as you travel down the backs of this property, this is the back of the property right in here, you can see existing buildings and structures that were part of the site when the complex was in operation. So we're looking for an exemption under the regulations for that portion of the site which the commission determines to be applicable. You know, as you also know, we have a SORAD, adjudicatory hearing with regard to the superseding order of area resource determination, whatever you call it. And so that process is going on. But we do have this process, which is a separate process related to the mill complex that was existing, that we consider to be still existing on the site today. And so, you know, we're trying to get to a point where we can come up with a game plan for developing this property and making it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than what's there today, and also create some, you know, we have a site approval letter from Mass Housing to do affordable housing on the site. So we're looking for some firm direction on what we have available to us before we make plans for what kind of buildings end up going there. So that's pretty much it. I mean, you can go down to the Historical Society in Walpole, and the place is filled with Walpole word historical data. There was a fire here in 1995 that burnt this mill down, and that's why that portion of the site, or Riverwalk, was all demolished at that time. And Riverwalk was built along the pond area there. So we would like to continue something along those lines into this site. And the ideal scenario for us would be to have the entire site available to us to do a more or less dense type of development.
When did you say that fire was?
I think it was in 1995 or 4. I'm waiting for the records to come from the fire department, but that's what I've been told. I've tried to research the exact date, but it's in that general area. The people who own Riverwalk have basically given me an approximate time frame where they think the fire was taking place, but it was a huge fire from what I understand. So, Al, do you remember? You must have been around.
Yeah, I remember the fire.
Was it in 95 or was it in earlier than that?
I don't remember the date,
Yeah.
no.
But obviously,
Yeah.
so,
85.
was it in 85?
It's
I don't know.
referenced in the environmental assessment that was pretty detailed, that was done for the Riverwalk Commons
Yeah,
site.
I don't know whether or not it's 95 or
I think it was in the 80s.
It was in that general area. But, you know, I've presented a bunch of aerial photographs over a period of years, so you can see the difference in what's happened on the site or in that general area over a period of years. So, there's no question it was part of the bird complex. That's, I don't think, in dispute. The question is whether or not we consider this to be under the exemption provision of the regulations. It's really kind of what this part of the process is all about.
Anything else? Okay, Landis?
Yeah, so it would be good, this is helpful, but it would be good to know when this
Yeah, I'll
what's
try and
the
get
date of
that.
the photo.
I thought I had submitted that before, but,
Yeah.
You does it say that?
1969.
It's in 1969.
Might be other,
We-
here's
we-
71, okay.
there's a bunch of them, but I think we picked that one because it was the clearest that Rob thought he could overlay the lines on, so I'm not sure why that particular photograph was picked, but the lines, for the property lines, he felt that was the area that
What's the-
easiest one.
What's the date you're looking for, Landis, though?
Oh, I was just wondering what date this photo
It's
was.
somewhere
in.
between 69 and 78, because I'm not really sure which of these
Yeah,
is.
I'll try and get the exact date, but I mean, it's overlaying the existing subdivision lot lines over that photograph, which helps give you approximate location of buildings and other things that are going on the site.
Okay. Landis?
So I put in my report, so the 310 CMR 10.04 historic mill complex means the mill complex is in, but not limited to, in the Holyoke, Taunton, Fitchburg, a couple other communities in existence prior to 1946 and situated landward of the waterside facade of the retaining wall, buildings, sluiceway, or other structures existing on August 7th, 1996. That's why it's
Yeah, no.
nice to need to know when such structures were in existence, if they were in existence in 1996. A historic mill complex also means a historic mill included on the Registry of Historic Places. And this historic mill complex includes only the footprint of the area that is or was occupied by interrelated buildings, in parentheses, manufacturing buildings, housing, utilities, parking areas, and driveways constructed before and existing after 1946, used for any type of manufacturing or mechanical processing, including associated structures to provide water or processing to generate water power or for water transportation. I think that was why we wanted to know where the footprints was, because my understanding, it's not just because there was a historic mill complex on part of the parcel that means the whole parcel gets the exemption. It's in the areas were of the footprint of the structures.
I understand.
Okay. So, and then the plan that you provided, I think we talked about this before,
Expanded upon that.
it doesn't really acknowledge historic mill complex on the plan. It just references degraded riverfront area, which is a whole nother definition under the Wetlands Protection Act, which I know you know very well. So I just looked at the different areas, and the gray area, which you have labeled as degraded paved and foundation areas. So I think what you're saying is the whole gray area is part of the paved existing structure. So it may be broken up in some places, but it's pretty much, you
Well,
found concrete
Yeah,
pretty much
Paul,
everywhere?
yes, Yeah, he was gone through there and probed and hit concrete or pavement. And, and then in this area here. the green
Well, wait a minute,
area-
I want to
Okay,
just go
ahead.
place, so the gray area, which you have marked as pavement, and there's some indications along one side that it says pave, but then those kind of disappear. That area also is referenced on the Pinnacle Point subdivision plan. There's an outline of a paved area or foundation area. And another plan also, it is located on there, so. And then looking at your historic map here, it looks like this area.
Yeah,
It looks like this area up here.
sure, yeah. I would agree, yeah.
So that's the gray area. The pink area, which is the utility easement, now, that was put in for the Pinnacle Point subdivision. That was not back in 1946.
Yeah,
So I don't think that
That would be-
qualifies
that
as
would
historic
count as
mill
something.
complex disturbance. The green and the brown areas on the plan, which are marked previously filled, the degraded and dumping areas. So when I look at your aerial, it looks like the brown area is the area which is already developed by the lots. Or
So
the
here's what-
part of the mill complex that you're showing here with the parking and the trucks or something
Yeah,
is on the lots that are already developed. So your brown area is where it's showing treed on your aerial.
what we don't know, and that's why is that we don't know under this whether or not this pavement extended underneath that area.
Well, I wasn't even talking about, I was talking about, well, the brown area. So you have the back of the lot
Oh, the brown-
lines,
yeah, the
and
brown-
all this area that's shown on the aerial is on the lot construction. So
So-
it's not, it wasn't in existence in 1996, I don't think, because the lots were developed earlier than
So
that.
If you follow the back line of this line here, you'll see where there's, on this area here where there were buildings or something was there. I'm not gonna, I don't.
Well, it looks to me that this area here, which is on the lots,
Yeah, yeah.
not on
Yeah,
this
but- no,
treed
you're
area.
right, you're right. But
Which
it
would
does
be your
encroach-
brown area.
It does encroach. It's evidence that there was something there, in my opinion, if you've been out there, they pushed it over, and it's like,
But it has to be in existence in 1996, and these lots were developed pretty early on. The subdivision started in 1988, so.
no, these are, the aerial photograph, this wasn't built until,
Wait, so-
2001. The road might have been cut in, as part of
And
that.
I think
So,
the lots may have been shown.
This was a subdivision that got foreclosed on by
Right.
FDIC, it went
Right.
to auction in
Right.
like 1991, there was nothing on the site,
Right.
except maybe like the cut-in of the road. So when Hassenjager started construction on the lots, I have no idea. But the plan, I think the subdivision plan says 2001, right?
it went through, it got started and then it got renewed, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has a long history. But my point is that this area here is on the lots. It's not on your Lot 9. Lot 9, it looks like it's treed. And with overlays, it's never perfect. So
Yeah, I
who
mean,
knows the line, right?
Go by the lines that are on here, so we,
Right, so the brown area, I'm not sure if it's included in, it doesn't appear to me to be included in the
Well,
mill
yeah.
complex that's shown on this plan.
okay.
The green area,
The green area was up. in
maybe
this-
part of it, but part of it may be treed. If it's in this, if it's in
Well, you can see
this
there's-
area
there's-
here.
There's bare spots in this area right here. That's in this green area, so it's like, again, it's an aerial photograph from high up.
Right, so the
the
the standard to give the exemption is pretty clear, so that's why we want to know.
Also discretionary too, so it's,
Well, I'm advising the commission to have a clear idea of the footprints of the historic mill complex and what was treed and not fully developed. And it may be something else, it may be degraded riverfront area, but right now what we're looking for is exemption of the historic mill complex, and it says only the footprint. It says specifically, only the footprint of the structures. So that's why we need to know where those areas are.
I'll try to get an expanded view of that then, to make sure, because we want to fight for every inch.
I'm sure you do.
We're trying to fight for
Um,
it. So,
So those are my main comments. I looked at the plan, and again, it doesn't really reference historic mill complex. It references a lot of degraded riverfront area. And then some of the areas, it's unclear if, how they actually, where the footprints of the structures are.
Okay. Dean, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so, I mean, as you mentioned, Lou, there is probably a ton of pictures on this mill in the historical commission.
oh, yeah.
Have you guys done any research to try to find some actual pictures of this area?
Well, we have some, but during the COVID thing, it was, like, the historical commission was closed, and,
Yeah, like
they
there's
needed an
an
appointment, and Roger passed away, and so it's a bunch of things that weren't available to us to get in there. And I haven't had the opportunity to go there by appointment to do that. What we've assembled so far is just available photographic evidence that's available online through historical aerials and geographical services that are online.
Yeah,
So-
because I imagine there's probably some pictures of folks taken inside the mill here that
So,
I'd be interested to see,
if
in
you-
this lot.
If you, you have the package, you probably don't have the package, but they have the Sanborn maps. if you
Yeah,
wanna
you
share
got the
that.
Sanborn.
I'm
That's
gonna pass
nails
that
on
over
my
to
face.
Dean.
Yeah,
Oh, that's-
so we have the Sanborn maps that show the location of every building
Send us now.
Send this.
that was on that site, or that part of the site. So,
I don't know if I ever got this or not.
that's the
We got
biggest
it
evidence
ages
that we
ago.
have, the Sanborn, they did that in 1944.
A year and a half ago.
So,
Yeah,
so
just-
that might be helpful to give you a little bit of idea of what's on the site if you haven't been there or walked it. So, you know, there's no hard and fast information that's gonna like tilt this one way or the other. We know that it was part of a historical mill complex. We think we could do a much better job with the more area that we have
Do
than.
we need any more?
Yeah.
You want one?
But it's just definitely mill footprint, right? Concrete.
Yeah, and it
Is
basically.
pavement, is roadway consider that too?
Yeah, if you read the definition that's in my report, it does include not just structured foundations, but parking.
This photograph
Um,
shows it looking down. I
It's
just
way
don't
back
know-
here,
yeah,
yeah.
I just don't know
It's
where
a,
that photograph-
it's a complete exemption from the requirements of the riverfront area, so. Right.
Okay,
No other questions, thank you.
anything else, Dean?
Thank you, Will, no, thank you.
Doug?
Not at this time.
Emilio?
No, we need a clearer, like you said, we need a clearer idea where those mill buildings were, so I think we need that now to make a determination, so.
Betsy?
So I've actually had this in my possession and studied it since, dated like October 2020. Because I really enjoy history and thinking about old mill buildings. I feel pretty convinced about your gray area. I don't think I have a whole lot of quibbling about that gray area. And if what we're supposed to be deciding tonight is, you know, within the rules of how you describe a historic mill site, I could vote yes on the gray area tonight. And then you've got maybe degraded areas, that's a whole different night.
Yeah, well, again,
Yeah.
they put everything, you know, they compiled everything, because when the field crew is out there, they
Yeah,
put everything, and we
yeah.
know how long it takes to get a plan sometimes.
Yeah.
So we took advantage of the opportunity to get a plan and show limits of things that we could visibly see
Yep.
without
Yeah.
going in there with equipment or doing other things.
And you've got good photos here, and I've actually walked back there. It's
It's
this,
a mess.
yeah, but you've got the, so that's what I wanted to say. If we were voting just on historic mill site, the gray area, I could vote for that. That's the way I feel about it.
Anything else?
That's it. Oh, yes, one more thing. Until it gets sorted out, the last word on this is should be labeled the Neponset River and not, it's not funny, and not Bird Pond, or Bird Pond.
We're using the USGS as Bird Pond.
No, we have our like on record ruling on this. So it should say, well, you're going to appeal it, but until it gets appealed, it needs to say Neponset River, and then this 200-foot setback from the pond needs to say from the river. So no, I feel really strong about that until it gets
I understand, but,
overturned.
so, we can talk about that, but right now, you know, attorney, we're of the opinion that it's a pond.
But I wouldn't vote for it tonight. I wouldn't vote for the gray area till the plan looked good.
It looks like I'm gonna have to get a little bit more evidence to satisfy Landis about this area in here that looks semi-treed or cleared, and I'm gonna try and find some additional, in this, to expand that area further. Because we do think that this, you know, I don't know if you remember, Jack, you and Al might be around, but this was all rail tracks in here. The rail cars came in and they offloaded their stock into these buildings. So it's very unlikely that they offloaded them into woods, you know, into vegetation. They didn't offload them, like, you just dump them off and then have the guys come up and get them. They offloaded them and then they moved them into the buildings of some sort, so.
Yeah, you might do more with the Sanborns.
Huh?
The Sanborns are good, you might want to do something with that.
Well, you know, again, I'm trying to, you know, not everybody's available to do exactly what I want them to do, so, but I thought, you know, we've continued this process quite a long time, so I'm trying to get the commission what they need, and then work with what else is left to convince the commission that this is a worthwhile exercise to go through, but if you, even on this photograph here, you can see all the tracks that run across the top of the property here. So when this was a rail line that ran and went over Washington Street and delivered or picked up material for manufacture or paper goods or whatever they were doing. And so to address Landis's question of whether or not this area here behind these buildings was vegetated versus used as part of the mill complex, I'd have to say that you don't have woods or vegetation behind you.
Where are you talking about now?
Right in here where, see these buildings right here?
So it's not even in the area in
Where
question he's
they
talking.
were
So-
essentially part of the front of this lot. It's the front of this.
Referred to it as.
You're talking
the
about
front
these
of-
buildings here.
The front of this lot right here,
Bird time.
which is this area right here behind this building. So it would be very difficult to believe that they would have a vegetated wooded area behind a warehouse building opposite another foundation type building. No,
You're
no.
talking about this,
No,
you're
I'm
talking about
this area
that
right
area
here.
here.
Right here, which would be this area right in here.
Yeah, oh, I know.
So,
The river on the
Can
old
you
drawings.
see
You're
this?
saying there's pavement up there rather than just
The river.
trees or?
Yeah.
Mm.
You follow what I'm saying, Landis? You see what I'm saying? See, this is the
Who's
problem.
saying that back in the day? What's shown here as,
I'm saying that would have been part of the mill complex. So, and it's filled over now. You know, they filled this lot in.
But where the lot is already developed.
No, it's next to that. It's between 11 and 7.
This
Which is
area.
right here.
This area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah,
he's saying
okay,
it's,
yeah. No, that may be,
So, just from a
But,
practical standpoint, I just.
but maybe
find-
not the whole like green area, and
So
the
you
brown area is.
So you
I
can see the
don't
remnants
see the
of
brown
this-
areas.
You can see the remnants of this foundation that's here. So there was a building here, and it's like, I'm trying to, and there are remnants of other foundation type structures. I don't,
But it's not on your plan right now.
oh, it is, it's on the plan right now. These structures.
Oh, in
are
the
surveyed.
green, yeah.
So I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, if I had a mill complex and I had a building that was right across here, and I had whatever this, a loading dock or a building of some sort in back, it's not likely that I would have a vegetated forest type of area behind me. It would have been part of it.
There's, yeah, I mean, I agree, there's portions like in this corner that probably are part of it, but I don't know if it extends as
And
far as
again-
you have the green area,
Yeah.
and I take the pink out area, and the brown area
Yeah.
beyond the pink area is,
So I would, I'm
not sure
looking-
that
I'm
that would
looking at
qualify either.
This possible area being, I'm not quite sure about this, but I'm looking at this possible area as being
Yeah.
part of
Maybe-
this grade. That's what I'm-
or I think if you can give a little more information of all the areas east of the utility line.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have other things that happen on the site, that, you know, this Pinnacle Drive subdivision was approved, there's no stormwater management there. Everything drains right into the pond. The pond, not
Well,
the river. It
there
drains
is-
right into the pond, untreated or
There's,
whatever.
well, there's storm scepters that
Oh,
we're supposed to be
but
put
it doesn't address the retention, detention. It may have,
Why are you bringing that up?
No,
What does that have to do with the historic
it's-
mill
it's kind of
complex?
like another
What does
one
that have
of
to
those-
do with the historic mill complex?
It's
That we're
another thing
talking
down the
about.
line.
That's what we're talking about,
We'll
right,
be
guys?
talking about it down the line,
Okay.
but, so that's really, I
Before my
don't
time.
have any problems with continuing a little further, let me get a little bit more information, let me get down to the historical commission and see what I can get.
You get the sandboards on that map?
I don't know, I'll have to ask,
This map.
yeah.
Sandboards on this
Yeah,
map.
yeah, I could probably, what I'd have to do is get the lot lines on the Sanborn map, basically. I think that's how I'd have to do it. But I'll have to ask, because
A little busy.
I don't know about how to do it myself, so.
Sure.
Okay.
But I think that will help.
Okay, that was, do you have anything else, Betsy?
No,
Okay, Al?
I just want to see some more buildings, remnants on these green and gray areas. I was there when they were still manufacturing there, and I was there when the first subdivision started until the banks shut it down. And I realized that some of the forest that's grown up wasn't there when it was a mill complex. But I think that for you to just present this big gray area and say that's, well, what happened in that big gray area? What was going on there? Show the railroad tracks. There's evidence there was railroad tracks in lots of these pictures. Show that as part of the historic mill complex.
Well,
So we know that it was in use, and as you say, you don't unload a rail car into the woods, and you don't load it from the woods. You load it from a loading deck on a building. Okay, so we know that those things happened, so you can show, I'm sure, the railroad tracks. There are pictures available that show that. And that boosts your claim that there was a building there, because obviously on both sides of the railroad tracks, in some cases, there were buildings. And if you go to other bird mill complexes, you can see where the building was right next to the rail car.
Yeah.
And they just probably put a couple of planks across from the building to the rail car to load and unload. So if you start with the rail tracks all through this area, you automatically show where some of these buildings were, and the evidence speaks for itself then. Just showing the green area or the gray area as such, that doesn't convince me, because I know there were buildings, some of them big, some of them small.
I think Dean had a good point, which I'll try to do, which is to overlay the lot lines on top of the Sanborn maps. Because the
Okay.
Sanborn maps were, from what I've been told, very accurate in terms of buildings and locations. And I don't know, are the railroad tracks on that, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
offhand?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, very
They
detailed.
are? Okay, so maybe we can,
How far back do the Sanborn maps
So
go?
it's got to be in 1927, that was then, I've been looking into this for different reasons. And then it was updated in the 1940s, and then we don't have them after that.
Yeah,
So
the- I-
these
So you're
structures
gonna
were
have-
I had to get this
in
from somebody
existence in
who was-
1996.
I had to
Well,
get-
well, this one, what, from 1996 we have Sanborns?
No, part of the is in existence in 1996.
Well,
Okay, but this was a different thing, just getting some of these, overlaying on the 1927 Sanborn. So it's a
But if
good
it
Oh, you have
changed
to-
from
you have to-
1927 to 1996, then it doesn't qualify.
You have to look at the definition to be exempt. It's
The
But it will
a,
show us the shapes of things that we
Right.
can then see on the ground here. In other words, there are some very distinctive shapes, which I think I'm spotting,
okay.
as I look through this
Well,
booklet.
but look at the definitions
Oh, yeah.
in Landis report,
Yeah.
and that's what we need to
Right, It's
make a
not-
decision on.
I know, it's just the starting point.
So,
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna do the best I can to get that additional information, if you wanna continue it for 30 days or so.
Our next next meeting is August, was it 11th?
Yes.
August 11th. Does that give you time
Well,
to,
let's try that.
okay. What did I do with my agenda?
Actually, you can stay, we're gonna discuss.
Yeah, don't rush out.
I'll stay with this guy, reserve the whole night.
We are so lucky.
So we have 7 o'clock
Agenda.
on Peach, which is the Peach Street continuance for
Okay, so what
August
do we make it,
11th.
7:15?
POCs, but nothing.
August 11th, 7:15? Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second,
All in,
Then we have to file.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, 600. So August 11th, 7:15.
I'll do my best.
Landis, do I have to abstain from this?
You can
To
vote
continue it?
to
I don't think so. I
continue,
think
no.
it's fine.
If we get,
City water
Okay,
main
so we'll try for
over 100 PSI pressure.
11.
I'm sure.
okay, 7:15.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is. I guess they needed that.
Okay. Now, let's see what else we have for you.
Talk about Boyden.
Favorite
On
site?
Boyden Estates, I happened to stop by the other day when it was raining, and two things. I went on,
Yeah.
I think it's Lot 6,
Okay.
where the wetland is, on the right-hand side as you're coming down the street.
Yeah.
That's Lot 6. And there's a big hole looked like dug with a backhoe,
Yeah,
right on the wetland line.
well, on the buffer line, not on the wetland line.
Well, no, the
The
plaque,
The plaque was right there.
right there,
Yeah.
and that
That's
has been,
25 feet from the,
that's 25, that's right. I noticed that the concrete
constructed.
found, and that was
So,
knocked over. So that's,
yeah, so we were gonna begin the process of what we had talked about at the prior meeting, which was extending that wall and rebuilding that wall up and then putting, what we had talked about. And, fortunately, the conditions changed very quickly, and we had to stop because it was causing more damage than positive, nothing positive was coming
Okay.
out. Plus,
well, before you start with what you were gonna do, I thought you were gonna give us a plan of what you were gonna do.
well, at the very least, the wall is gonna be extended. At the
Yeah,
very
but now
least,
you're starting construction, you haven't sent us a plan.
Oh, that plan that you have, wasn't that the plan, or no?
No, according to you, it was a draft that had nothing to do with anything.
Oh, I thought that's what we were planning on doing, to continue wanted us to do that, but unfortunately, like,
So it wasn't a minor modification and it wasn't an amendment or any of the formal.
but if you look at the plan that was approved under water, probably that wall shows probably being there.
There's a wall there.
Yeah, we just changed the difference between what was stone rock wall to a Versa rock or, kind of Allen block type
Yeah.
of wall.
When did you do that?
Well, we did that when we did the first part of it, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
then, we were trying to get additional block to do the extension, and because of this supply chain disruption, they're kind of making blocks, they're making pavers right now, so it's like a 6 to 10 week lead time. So when I found that out, I said, well, let's not do any more work there, and the weather changed anyway, so felt that it was better just to leave it for now, and then we'll pick it up.
Okay.
Because what has to happen there is you have to excavate out, put a base of
Okay.
gravel and then
But
build it
before you
on
start
top.
doing that, we had asked you, and you said you would provide us a plan with what you were planning to do.
Oh, I thought that's what we did.
Can I read, so June 6, 2021, notwithstanding the foregoing, Wall Street is committed to working with the commission to monitor the situation and employ reasonable measures if necessary to protect the homeowner for discussion purposes only. Enclosed is a draft sketch
Yes.
plan requested by the commission. As noted, the sketch plan proposes an extension of the existing versa-block retaining wall surrounding the wetlands area with an overflow swale to direct water in the event of an overflow condition. This plan is presented for discussion purposes only.
Yeah, all right, so,
There,
so we discussed it that night, right, I think? And
there's
then-
no approval
I
of
don't
the
think so.
proposed draft.
It was here, well, we were on Zoom.
We were on Zoom. I don't recall seeing a,
Well, in
Plan.
any case, if you want me to take that plan and make it an official plan,
Yes.
I'll bring it back to you
Yes,
folks.
we do.
Okay.
Right, because in addition, the presentation of this
The only-
plan should not be construed as a request of Wall Street for a modification or an amendment to the Lot 6 order or subdivision order. So, in your own words,
Yeah.
you were
So-
not presenting it as something
But as I
to be
mentioned
approved.
during our discussion, I mentioned that I had an obligation that I promised the homeowner that we would extend that wall, and so we were doing that. My only question with regard to that plan is, if there's a swale, where should the swale be, and where should it, discharge its water to if there is an overflow? Now, during the storm events that we had, there wasn't a problem there. All of these rainstorms that we had, there wasn't any kind of problem.
there wasn't an overflow, but you do have restriction of flow into this, under the street through that pipe.
Right.
You've got
So-
hay bales on
Yeah,
the
I pulled the hay
west-
bale away
west side
to
of the
test
street.
it. And you know what happened? It overflowed
Which overflowed?
the wetland
The wetland
on lot 6.
on lot 6?
I shouldn't tell you that, but I'm telling you that.
I was gonna pull
Oh, yeah,
it,
we-
I was gonna pull it out, but it was
It's
raining
heavy,
too hard.
it's very heavy, don't put it. But what, we tested it with all this heavy rain, and apparently when you get high velocity rain like we did,
Yeah,
and the rate is so great, and that's what fills
yeah,
it
it's,
doesn't
okay.
have enough time to.
And this gets back to one of our original questions to you and your engineer about the original calculations on this, and should they be reviewed and see what's going on, so we could make the proper adjustments.
Yeah, again, we both have been out there. Rob and I were both out there at different times during the storm events. We've had several of them. So I know what's happening there. I do feel that there's a significant amount of question that something should be done there now. Before I wasn't of that opinion, because when I pulled the hay bale away and the flow went, it didn't take very long for it to
Yeah.
rise up. So I'm telling you that because I'm a good guy.
Well, part of the situation may be that there was no outlet to that.
Yeah.
Whereas once you
Or
started
it was.
construction on the house lots, that you may have, I'm just saying potentially, disrupted whatever flow, whichever way it was going,
Yeah.
so it can't go that way, and it's not going where it used to go. So, again, I get back to, your engineer needs to review the drainage calculations, and particularly looking at this, and make sure what you come up with will satisfy will solve the problem, so that we can't continue to use hay bales on the other side of the street to keep the water
Well,
back.
Yeah, no, I know. And There may end up being a combination of backup
Okay,
measures.
so
with that.
when can you,
So,
we should see, if you should see this plan, then make it a formal plan, if this is what you want to do,
Okay.
and where you if you have questions about where that overflow should be directed, if and when there is an overflow, give us some choices.
Absolutely. Like I said, every time I go out there, we have a significant rain, I'm there watching what's going on.
Yeah.
So look, can we make it an actually kind of a firm date that Rob comes and presents an actual plan for real at the next meeting? Can we say that's what's
Are
gonna
you able
happen?
commit- well, I don't know, I'm sure that you have time issues with your engineer as well. Is August 11th?
I'm gonna try and work on that plan, take the draft off of it, and we're gonna work on some, I don't know about calculations or.
Well, we need that reviewed. He's got to come up and
He's-
say, this is what we need to do, because obviously, and you have now seen it yourself, that there is more water coming into that across the street than was anticipated.
Yeah,
We've been asking for a review of the stormwater calculations for months. So to me, it's like Rob,
at this point, I guess, we didn't really consider it to be, as big a problem as it.
You didn't.
we did.
Right,
But we had the big storm around Christmas time, and apparently that was not anomalous, because we had a similar big storm last week. No, so I think Rob needs to come to the next meeting with a reconsideration of his stormwater
Right,
calculations.
but what would that do? What would that?
Well, what you need with that is what you do to resolve this problem. How much water, what we had, you saw what you had now. We had at Christmas time was not a huge storm event. It was a big one, but it wasn't huge. It's supposed to be designed for the 100-year storm.
Not that.
The whole subdivision is supposed to look at the 100-year storm, and we're supposed to be able to handle the drainage from that. So what we had this past, I was there Friday, I don't know what day you were there, but we've had several days of heavy rain, but it's not huge amounts of rain. You know, I mean, we're not approaching the 100-year storm.
Well, let me talk to Rob about the calculations and,
Okay.
but I'll have to
Okay.
talk to Landis and see what
All
they
right,
can work on.
can you be at our, prepared to review this at our August 11th meeting?
I'm prepared to review it
With
now.
Rob.
No, but you are not technically qualified
Yeah.
to discuss that part of it.
So
That's what you
Rob
need
needs
your
to
engineer
come.
for. Was Rob or somebody else, whoever is there that's qualified to do that.
Okay,
Okay, can we count on that for the 11th?
I'll see what I'll try to do what I can to get him here.
All right. If you can't, then let us know, then we expect it will be, our next meeting would be the first Wednesday in September.
Right, okay, well, we
All
wanna
right.
get this done.
One or the
before
other.
The dry season, we don't wanna be doing this in like November and May.
Well, this is supposed to be the dry season, you've already done some of that.
Thanks a lot.
Can I also make it clear, because I'm a little disturbed that you were out there saying you were going to extend the wall, but you didn't have any permit to extend the
Well,
wall.
I'm considering it to be inclusive of what was previously allowed under the order.
No, it wasn't part of the original plan that was approved under the Order of
The wall is-
Conditions.
The wall is, for sure. but
Not
swale may
the
not be.
extension of the wall.
They gotta measure
Any
it out.
additional activity requires filing or coming back to the Conservation Commission. That's pretty standard, and especially since you've been engaged with the Conservation Commission, has been asking you, but wait a minute, please, for a plan and a solution for quite a long time, so that they can review it based on calculations and plans, and this is what we've determined to be the solution, and then you're out there doing it. So I would
thought it
say
was
that
under
would
the
be a
enforcement.
finable, I would honestly say that that's a,
No, it's not.
you're working in the 100-foot buffer zone in a additional work that's not approved under the
Okay.
Order of Conditions. It's absolutely
I'll measure
is
out
in
what's on-
violation of your Order of Conditions. And I want to
I'm
make
not
that
gonna
really
argue.
clear, and hopefully it's clear to the commission. We all want this resolved, and then the commission's been asking to resolve it for months.
Well.
Okay, so that's, all right, so you're gonna do that.
Do the right thing.
You're gonna do that for August 11th. In addition, the There was significant erosion on the new house lot. I don't know what number that is,
Four.
at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Right.
You had some straw wattles, the erosion had gone under those and significantly washing down the hill towards the retention basin.
Well, to be honest with you, that erosion took place on the very first storm, right after we put the loom down. The erosion controls went down the next day.
Yeah, but the erosion controls didn't stop. You need that stabilized.
Right.
The washout was under your erosion controls. It washed under them. You had a gully this deep under your.
Right, the erosion control was put down after, those gullies were there after the first storm. I mean, unfortunately, we loomed a lot, and then the next day, I think it was June
Yeah, but
30th or
with the
July
slope
1st.
that you have, plus the water was overflowing the
Okay,
granite
so
curb
That's a different issue.
that was going down and contributing
Right.
to that erosion
Right.
on that lot.
So that problem was the result of the silt sack in the catch basin not functioning, and the fact that the other catch basins weren't taking the water, so there was eventually more water on the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I noticed that the catch
Did
basins.
you take a picture?
were-
I got a picture, you wanna? can
No,
show you the photo.
I've got it right up here.
So in any case, I had the guy go out there and take all the silt sacks out of all the catch basins and put a check dam behind each of the catch basins, so that the water is now,
So you have erosion, you have silt control before it gets into the catch basin.
yeah, not that catch basin, but the
Mhm.
previous ones.
You need to put some hay bales or something around there to keep that.
There's not very, I mean, the road is not silt on the road, like everything is built and functioning.
There's a fair amount of sediment that accumulates around that catch basin at the end of the, at the end of cul-de-sac. I've seen it almost every single time I
Right,
go
no,
out there.
and I've cleaned it out, and so what was happening is we had a silt sock around the catch basin, and we had a silt sack in the catch basin. So what that was doing is, it was affecting the water to getting into the catch basin.
Because the silt needs to be cleaned out
Yeah,
after
so
every rain
We've been
event.
cleaning it out. So I had them take the silt sack out because we were getting another rainstorm that day. I think it was Sunday or Monday. Have them take it out, and we haven't had, they didn't have any problems. The water went into the catch basin, everything was fine. So we have to monitor that, but that was the reason why that was topping over that curbing, because all the water from up above was bypassing the catch basins and not going into the stormwater.
Yeah,
So
okay, so,
hopefully address that and
Okay.
we'll avoid that. But as far as the erosion goes on that last lot, we have to regrade it. And I
And get
put
it-
blankets down, believe it or not, I put the blankets down on the back of the lot on that slope, but
did that
for some
help?
reason, we didn't think that was gonna be a problem on that.
Did that help, did that work on the
yeah.
back? Well, then do it on the front, on
Yeah,
the
well, we didn't
front
see-
side, whatever.
So we're hoping now with the drier weather, we can rectify everything.
There's not gonna be dry weather.
You got about 1.5 days.
This is my third conservation meeting, this week, so.
You probably need to put blankets, you need to put blankets on that
Yeah,
slope.
I have one extra one that we can put one on there, so, and I think we're gonna put, sod the backyard and,
Well, that needs to be stabilized, because that slope is too steep to wait for grass to grow.
Yeah, oh, no question, I
Okay,
agree with you.
all right, so you'll take care of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
Good.
we're looking forward to seeing you and Rob at our next meeting with a plan?
Crush on Rob.
Yeah, actually, I do like
He's right
Rob.
down the hall right now, he's got
Is
another
he?
meeting.
Oh,
He's got zoning board tonight.
oh.
We're
How
all
about the
like- we're all like
plaques, how
screaming.
about the plaques on lot 5? What's holding up those ones?
Filing in the NRAD next week, so we'll deal with that.
What?
We're
What about the
working on it.
plaques on lot 5?
The engineers were out there, and I think they staked the location of the bounds. Up until this point, they weren't staked, so it was,
So when are they going in?
I don't know, I have to call the guy. I don't do that kind of work. I have to call somebody to do it.
So that lot has, other than the overfill that occurred, that probably will just be an overfill, the plaques need to go in, and then a certificate of compliance you need to request, because it's done, right?
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
done?
Trying to.
So upon
I'm
completion
trying
of the lot, request a certificate of compliance?
to- Say that again, excuse me.
Upon completion of a lot, You should request a certificate of compliance.
Well, we're doing work still there because they had erosion onto their property from lot 6 and.
The plaques need to go in and as built and request a certificate of compliance.
Put that on. Put that in.
Okay, we will make sure that has been done by our next meeting,
Yes.
okay? That's August 11th. You got that?
Anything else? Wait, let
Wait a
me turn
minute.
over, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
That's it?
Um,
Well, we'll see you
yeah,
August
we'll,
11th.
With Rob.
With Rob, I'm gonna go down there now and I'm gonna heckle him. See, Betsy's looking for it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, that's done. You got anything else?
Board
Oh,
comments?
erosion control bylaw.
Board comments, yeah. Oh, did we forget about that? Oh, no, that's the next one.
That's at 7:30.
Right on time.
Do we need,
We
you
need
got that
to
ready?
continue it. No,
Or you want to continue it till
Yeah,
the 11th?
To the 11th, I didn't get the.
We're not done, we're gonna do
Council
board
comments.
comments.
So yeah, I'm gonna give these back.
Oh,
So
you
she
might
brought
want to
it
keep
over.
it. No, you want to keep it.
No. I have a small house. My wife is like, throw away your stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
In one door and out the other.
Yeah.
This is, I guess is it, yeah, okay. Town of Walpole Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing for the purpose of gathering public comment on revisions to the stormwater and erosion control bylaws and Walpole Wetland Protection Bylaw regulations. Public hearing on the above matter will be held Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, Walpole, Mass., January 22nd, 2022, beginning at 7 p.m. On to the person requested to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued, and we have a request to continue this to our August 11th meeting, and we have, make it at 7:30. Someone move that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Say 600. Okay. What did I do? 7:30.
Landis, what does an enforcement look like? If you had taken a picture of him working, did you do that? Of Lou working, digging the hole, extending the wall.
No,
No, we
I
don't
didn't
have to
take a picture, but you
We don't
can't
have
miss
to
it.
We don't have to catch him in the act, but there's a hole there. So there, if you go out to Boyden Estates, he's started to dig a hole, and he admitted it too. He said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put the wall in," but we started and then we couldn't.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, he's kind of like that.
I thought it was to maybe take the overflow. Pretty deep hole.
Right, like
A scoop from
that's-
the,
Oh,
from the
overflow of the
backhoe.
water.
Pardon?
Of the water, I understand.
So it wouldn't overflow; it would go into the hole.
Go
That's
into the
kind of
hole.
what I thought, and it might be that way.
No, I just was
Then it's
sort
gonna
of,
overflow the hole and it's gonna be full of sediment.
Yeah.
Full of water, too.
That's
I
not useful.
didn't take pictures. It was, did you take it?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I just.
It was raining.
What would the fine look like? Or is it enforcement? What's it?
We have
300 a
fined
day.
him in the
300 a day.
past, I tell you what, we can fine up to $300 per day per violation. We normally start with like a $300 fine without per day. But we have, what subdivision was that? It was Boyden Estates.
Yeah, we
Yeah, it
find
was
them for
for
We
Boyden
fined
Estates.
the Boyden Estates.
Already?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Starlight Drive.
And he wound up paying it, but that's a long story and a little
So we can only fine under the bylaw.
Right.
We don't fine under the Wetlands Protection Act, fine under the bylaw. If they can challenge it, and then it goes to Rentham District Court, which happened. And then the judge kind of tries to mediate a little bit, and then they make a ruling. And then it can be, it can go on from there. I'm not, he's referred to it going to another
Yeah,
court,
I
but,
don't, you don't wanna,
but that's
on-
the
we're on-
process.
we're on TV.
Right, well, it's just the pro- you
only
asked-
discuss the
You asked the
process.
fining process, that's the fining process. We can find under the bylaw, and then,
Thank you.
there's a form that you fill out, and there's, it takes a lot of
A lot of time.
energy and legal expense.
I didn't do it that time. So I didn't spell it wrong, so you're good. There's two,
Oh, there's two.
there's two signature
You
sheets.
gotta print your
Did
name.
I not do two of them before?
Oh, I didn't either.
There was only one for the COC. For
Okay,
the order, we
let me
need
drop
to-
down 2 lines here.
Just in case it gets lost, so we don't have to reissue
Oh.
signature sheets.
All right.
God, it's been
Two
so
of them.
long that we had to sign
know.
anything, I forgot.
You're gonna get a hand grab.
Okay. Yeah, there are 2 pages to sign, but we only had one on the other one?
Yep, for the COC.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
It's always like.
Do we have anything else?
Yeah, we have board comments, and I actually have a board comment I want to make.
Okay,
But we have other board
so
comments.
we're still on. Okay.
I'm not, say that again? Oh, is there? Yeah, I was, I, yeah, because I haven't heard anything.
This is about solar.
Okay,
This is what we're doing a board comment on.
gotcha.
And I think we have a plan.
Ah.
Did we get a plan for the solar? Amy said she was going to give us one.
Oh, yeah, that's, something else we need to discuss.
Well, that's just, this is actually what's
Oh.
going on.
Is that where you are now?
We are at, we did everything else, didn't we?
Board
We
comments?
did minutes, we were at board comments, I think.
Yeah, I think you did everything else, so board comments.
Okay, let's do the others first. Anything on that West Street for Planning Board Paragon?
So that's 180 West Street. Okay, yeah, so that's near Spring Street. It's currently 2 brick buildings, and they want to, no, let's hustle. I think I think it's over 40,000 square feet, so it should require a land disturbance permit.
So we would anticipate a land disturbance
Yeah, well, I'll
permit?
let them know. They had a site design review, but it was when I was out. They're going through, I guess, site plan review with the planning board. It's quite a dense little residential development on the corner of Old West and Spring Street. But it's over 40,000 square feet, so they should file
Okay,
a land disturbance permit.
all
If
right.
anyone wants to look at the plan, that's it.
No, just when they file. Lincoln Road,
Yep, I have a board comment for that I already discussed and cleared with Landis. So in addition to whatever Landis wants to use for a board comment, I want to have us, as a commission, comment to planning, whether or not they already know this, that there's a deed restriction that prohibits having a gravel operation there. That reads, well, so I mean, I can tell you the book and plan, and the wording is this is at the end, it's a 1956 deed, in further consideration of the within conveyance, the grantees, their heirs, and the assigns agree that no portion of said premises should be used for a commercial gravel pit, so-called for the sale of gravel and stone. And the reason that I want us to put it in a board comment is because it could be that the buck stops at the planning board, that they go, oh, well, look at that, there's an interesting deed restriction. And so then we don't have to deal with the complexities of the drainage for a gravel removal operation, which can be complicated and which can have consequences that we sometimes don't foresee. They get down to some sort of weird substrate that doesn't drain very well. So I think this is maybe an opportunity to kind of get it in the hands of planning.
Okay, so, all right, so from conservation, how do we
We could,
present this as a
well-
restriction on the deed restriction?
so I just think conservation says, we want to call to your attention this particular deed, book and plan, no,
What's
book
the-
and page.
what's
So
the
it's
book and page?
3506, 222 to 223.
Wait, 3506?
Yep, 222 to 223.
222 to 223, that's the page, and the book
Yep.
is 3506.
Yep. This 1956 deed that is the last time it was conveyed, I think, because to La Civita, restricts commercial gravel operations and removal of gravel. And it could just sort of simplify things a little bit for us, and it's in our interest to not have a gravel operation. If it comes before us as one, then we've got to
Well, then-
permit it.
Well, we
but-
need to keep this in mind if it does come before us.
Well, I was hoping planning would keep
Well,
it in
yeah,
mind.
but if they pursue it with that we need to just keep that in mind. I'm sure you will.
They need to file a land disturbance permit with us. The majority of the site is outside of the wetlands regulated area. But a large portion is, yeah, it's a land disturbance permit.
Okay, so we need reference the deed restriction and the need to file a land disturbance permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which they've been told.
Okay.
This is a refile. I don't know, it seemed like there's been all sorts of different issues that have gone with the filing, and the planning board is very specific as to the plans and the butters and everything, and the timing, and so that's what this refile, it had something to do with a administrative issue, I believe.
Okay, Union Street?
Union Street, so this is 295 Union Street, which is the trucking transport site down in between Duncan's and the Union Street house that used to be Foster's property that just got reviewed. It does border the Chapel Brook, and it has significant floodplain on it. Now, this particular application to the Zoning Board of Appeals is for Tesla to use the site for prepping the vehicles.
Charging.
What?
I don't think charging, prepping them, perhaps painting them or doing
Well,
some
they
kind
come
of.
out trucks with like stickers on them and tons of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not totally clear from the site plan, but what I'm suggesting is that a letter go to them through the Zoning Board of Appeals, that they at least file an RDA with us so that we know what they're doing. Because there is a lot of wetland resource areas out there, even if they're gonna be repaving or whatever.
Is that behind the new Landry's, or the old Pier 1?
Yes,
Pier 1
yes it
imports?
is,
Yeah,
yes.
That's what I'm looking at.
Across the street from Pier 1.
Across the street, so the transport
Yeah,
place.
yes, yes.
Don't they store cars there now?
They do,
Yeah, they
they
do.
do, yeah. They store a bunch of cars there.
And
That's right, you're
containers.
calling it the new Landry's already, huh?
And the site doesn't have any stormwater management, and it really needs stormwater management. So if we can prompt them into that,
Sure.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if they're going to
Yeah, of course.
prep cars, that means they'll probably wash them.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that the
Right.
wash water goes where
Where's
it's
that
supposed
going
to go.
exactly.
The pure
So
old
I don't know if they're
imports?
actually
Oh,
doing
yeah.
Yeah, it's
site
gotta be
improvements,
nice.
but it's
Oh,
enough
yeah.
of
Yeah,
a
that's gonna be
use
a lot more
question
square
that they
feet.
should at
Yeah.
least come before us.
Which means I can schmooze.
Okay.
I love going there and schmooze them up.
And solar panel for 1377 North Street?
They,
Is there a plan that you could have a peek?
So I have this plan. I have one plan, 11 by 17. Other than that, it is
What's the plan, man?
Is this the
The plan,
same
man.
thing you?
Sorry, which one's this again?
So this is North Street Solar.
Oh,
So
yeah,
this,
137.
this is, so this is an appeal of the, building inspector's decision. So the building inspector denied the application to go through under the under the Dover Act, which allows activity on, school property or something like
School
that.
across the street, right?
Well, no, this is a Norfolk Aggie property, so it's part of the Norfolk Agricultural School. So they're saying as the Norfolk Agricultural School that we can develop this under the Dover Act because we're a school. And it's for a
That's
large solar. So the building inspector denied that. And when the building inspector denies, it goes to the Board of Appeals. So this is before the Board of Appeals. And I've had email contact with the Kearsarge, or the solar farm
Kearsarge,
people.
Yeah.
Kearsarge, right. And,
The whole thing.
and told them that I'm considering that they should at least file an RDA with the Conservation Commission so that we have an official delineation of the
Okay,
wetlands.
wait a minute, hold on. Landis is talking.
Sorry. So we need an official delineation of the wetlands. The proposed activities, you can see, is the activities going right up to what they're saying is a 100-foot buffer zone, but we don't have an approved wetlands line. In addition to that, when you look at the USGS map, the solid blue, there is a solid blue line partially in the area of this construction. Solid blue line is river. And then you have to, submit information, and if you don't believe that that solid blue line is correct. So they need to do that too. They need to show us where that is. So they need to file with us.
Is that like approved agricultural land? What's it called? There's
Is it agricultural land?
It would be, they hay it.
They hate it.
I think so.
Why are you asking that?
Would they lose
Bubbling
that
Brook
if they
must
put
be,
solar
yeah.
panels on it? Would they lose their agricultural
Yeah.
qualification?
Yeah,
For
61,
that part of the
chapter
property.
61.
I don't think they have to because it's county land,
Yeah,
so
it's
county
county
land property
Squares,
is,
Apparently.
rectangles.
They're tax exempt. They're not paying taxes.
I
Construction.
thought it was gonna be like keep North Ave. Isn't this whole thing with keep North Ave wild or something, or
North
scenic?
Street, well,
Street.
All right,
there's a lot of
so
opposition to this.
do we need to,
So
is this plan any better to read than what you gave me the other day?
it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I
And this
figured.
is
It's
Bubbling
still not a
Brook Road.
full-size
It's
set.
still not a full-size set, no.
Oh, okay.
And I have to give it back to Amy.
So we never did get one.
No.
Okay. All right, we need to write a letter to zoning board,
Yes.
to the zoning board, that, and citing these things that Landis just mentioned, that there is a perennial stream indicated on the USGS topo map. There are wetlands identified in the area, and maybe from the information provided, it is impossible to determine whether their activity is outside the buffer zone. So therefore, they need to file a determination with conservation regarding the proximity of the construction activity relative to the wetlands as required under the Wetlands Protection Act. And also, what is the town protocol for providing
Oh, so,
information to all boards?
right, so in the zoning bylaw, when an application comes in for a special permit through the zoning board, that they have 5 days to provide certain boards, Conservation Commission being one of them, with the application and plans. And through COVID, it was digital. What happens with the ZBA is that the applications come in and they get loaded up to Viewpoint, and then I get notification that they're there, and I go into Viewpoint and I look and see if I have comments, and I did do that, but we don't get a hard copy. I can't bring to the commission a hard copy, and you guys can't access Viewpoint, so.
Right, because I tried to
I think
today.
it quite qualifies as providing the Conservation Commission with the application and plans.
Plus, what you get on Viewpoint is half size of that.
If I print, right, I
You
did
could
try
print.
and print out, and all it was, I could print out was 8.5 by
So-
11, so.
So we need.
You can't read it.
Yeah, so we need to request that if we're making comments on something from ZBA, we can't go to Viewpoint,
Well, no, we need,
and we can't
we
do
need,
it.
we need to tell them that
Yeah.
according to the town,
Yeah.
the zoning board bylaw, a full set of plans are to be provided to the Conservation Commission for review. This has not been received, and any decisions from, then we request zoning hold off on any decisions until we have a chance to review a full set of plans.
And actually, can you maybe make a suggestion to Amy? When I went to ZBA site, they do have a little place for, like, plans under consideration or thing, and then you go and it's totally blank. Because I guess they're assuming you're going to Viewpoint or something. But to me, just like ordinary citizens around town who go to different board sites, they can find our plans. It just seems to me.
They only post the 40B plans. I asked for
But
that
it
today.
seems to me they should be posting, like, there's a lot of people that are interested in the solar field, and you shouldn't go to the site and see an empty space, or hear that you're supposed to go to Viewpoint.
Probably, if you know anybody who has that issue with this solar field, is have them contact zoning and tell them that there's no information, they can't find it.
Okay, I'm doing that right now. So I'm saying that
No, but need to contact zoning.
Oh, I
If
gotta-
you get enough contacts, maybe they will take heed.
I agree. I think any additional people need to
Okay.
bring this to the forefront.
then I'm gonna follow, because I
Not just
actually
me.
did email Amy today.
'Cause I
and
have
I'll
brought it to
email
the
her back.
forefront.
Yeah, no, we need to get as many people as you know
Okay,
to contact zoning that they need to provide the information for this project on their website in a form that is accessible to the public.
yeah.
Zoning, yeah.
All right, do we need anything else in that letter? Is that,
In regards to the plans,
yeah.
Right, I would suggest wording it that the Conservation Commission would like full-size hard copy plans.
Yeah,
And that's what you feel like meets the regulations.
yeah.
I believe that they've, they think they're meeting the regulations, but I think you need to say you as a
Yeah.
board
No, we
need to
we
have
need to
the
see
hard
a
copies.
a
If
full
that's what-
set
yeah.
of the plans
Yeah, okay.
in order to properly review it.
Yep.
Okay, so, if you write the letter, send it to me and then
Okay.
I'll look it over.
Yeah,
Type in your email
yeah, so I
address of
think
this.
it should be addressed from the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission and Jack Wiley Chair.
Okay?
Okay, so did we get it, yeah, we got all the different, okay, and then just the other that I'm putting in my report is, Neponset River Watershed, NEPRA approached me, to ask if I would participate in their applying for a grant through, the Division of Ecological Restoration, Mass Department of Fisheries and Wildlife, Fish and Game, and it's for this ecological restoration partnership program. So what they're doing is they're offering grant money to stakeholders that can be from towns in a watershed, can be like stormwater partners like NEPRA, Trout Unlimited would be involved with this to meet once a month or twice a month, depending on, to review the watershed, being Neponset watershed. So it's also Canton and Norwood, I think, is also interested. And then work together as a regional group, and then apply for grants that would apply to the region. And this would be for grants that would improve the riparian area. So it could be a removal of a dam, it could be a water quality structure somewhere where there's degraded water quality. It's not for something like removal of invasive species, which I do want to look in to see if we can find money or something for the area along the Neponset River Bird Pond on the Toll Brothers side, which is ours. It's terribly infested, and it would be great if we could do something there, but this wouldn't be part of that. But maybe I could network with other people and figure out how it's going to work. So right now, they're just submitting the grants, and I would put together a support letter from me and the town commission. So does that sound like something that's, you guys would be supporting?
Yeah.
Do you want to vote on that? Do we need to vote anything, or just say commission supports it?
If you want to vote on it, that's fine. I mean, just some kind of consensus that this is
I think
something
it- yeah,
that
that
you
we-
would be
I think it would
interested
be
in
appropriate in
with
the letter that
my time using
that
this.
the commission voted to support your
Yeah.
efforts on this. So if someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
600.
It's infested with.
Just
Japanese
all sorts of
knotweed.
different Japanese knotweed,
Bittersweet.
bittersweet,
Those are the main ones.
tons of poison ivy.
Oh,
I
God.
mean, that's not necessarily invasive, but it's
You got
nuisance.
Phragmites over there? There's some on the,
Phragmites would be nice
Phragmites on
compared to.
Plimpton Street there. on the-
Easier to get rid of.
Yeah, and purple loosestrife too
Oh.
over there.
Although I'm less worried about that. Yeah, it's the bittersweet and the,
Yeah, it's
Japanese
just
knotweed.
totally covering the whole area.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay,
9:08.
good. Are we, are you ready to,
Are you gonna
Shut
vote
us
to
down?
adjourn the
you have to,
meeting?
you have to vote to
Just
adjourn
vote to
the meeting.
adjourn the meeting.
okay, are you ready to shut us off?
As soon as you,
Okay, so we'll make a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.